Thank you. Welcome to be here. Mark Benini and Barbara Hafner from Meriden Public Schools.
So Meriden, Connecticut is located in the center of Connecticut. We're 2 hours from New York City and 2 hours from Boston. We have about 8,600 students, 8 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, 2 high schools. We have a 67% minority rate, 71% free and reduced lunch, and just under 20% special education students. In addition to our regular ed program, we have 3 alternative programs that we offer to our students as well. And we're extremely proud of our district. And the reason why we're so proud is first our students. They are truly digital learners. Our staff has embraced 21st century skills. Our schools are centers of innovation. No matter what we ask them to try, they're on board and they're willing to give it their best shot. And our community has been extremely supportive of our student-centered learning initiatives throughout the district. So let's take a look.
It all started for us here in Meriden with collaboration, a commitment to working together, a commitment to sharing our thoughts openly and honestly. We want to create schools where students and staff want to be. I think we have a terrific partnership between union and management. We really are in this work together.
We give our teachers a lot of voice in Meriden. You realize that the work is very, very important, but the support for that work has to be in place.
We also want to make sure that we create student-centered learning environments where really their voice matters in their education.
I feel that I have had a voice in my learning from the classes that I've taken and the wide range of courses available to me. The personalized learning experiences are sort of a new thing that I started my sophomore year. Maloney Builds is a program centered around the construction happening here at Maloney. I came in here with an understanding of what I was going to do later on, but no path on how to get there. Maloney has certainly helped me see what steps I need to take to where I want to be.
We believe if we don't set limits on children, we give them greater voice and choice in their schools, that they'll learn at higher levels.
Mia loves Maloney. She loves the opportunities that are made available to her. She loves the classes, the teachers, the students, loves the performing arts, and she loves the theater.
As a district, we really believed that what we had been doing in a traditional sense just wasn't working for our kids anymore. One of the things we've noticed is that we've gotten away from our textbooks. Kids expect now not to use the textbooks. They expect to be looking at more comprehensive pieces of reading and material.
The classrooms are nothing like what I went through. The technology in the classroom, the smart boards, the wireless, it's just a whole different way of teaching. It makes the classroom dynamic.
Moodle is the basis for what we do curriculum-wise. It is our platform to give students access to the curriculum.
Here at Pratt, my teacher would open up a thread on Moodle and start off with a basic topic, and then other students, including me, would respond on what our thoughts were. I could be in the car and I could go to the grocery store with my mother, and I could just pull out my iPhone and go on Google Docs or Moodle and catch up with what my teachers put online.
We're fortunate to have so many great community partners who really believe in our schools and really see our schools as the vehicle to help our students have successful, prosperous lives.
I just believe that, it's the way that the kids are engaged can make a world of difference. So we teach the entire fashion industry from concept to end design. So I bring in real designers that design clothing with the kids. Everyone's just selling the clothing, and they're going to donate all the proceeds back into the organization.
In the Meriden Public Schools, we have a belief system. We're going to allow them to create their own pathways, to fulfill their dreams in our schools.
I believe in a lot in myself. I feel that I can achieve anything if I put my heart to it.
There's no better school anywhere in the world. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
Thank you. So now it's my pleasure to introduce to you our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Benigni. I've had the pleasure of working with Mark for the past 7, 8 years, on which
First time she ever called it a pleasure, I'm going to be honest.
And let me tell you, for superintendent, sometimes that seems like a long tenure for him, but also for the rest of us. Mark is truly an innovative leader. There's nothing that we can't accomplish in the district. We do a lot of thinking outside the box. Mark has been recognized for his innovation in 2015 as an Ed Week Leader to Learn From. He's taught at the college level. He comes with a strong special ed background. He was a principal at a high school. He was also the mayor of the city in which we now both work in and he lives in. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Mark Benigni.
Thanks, Barb. And thanks for hanging in there for the last session with us as well. We're glad to be able to present and share some of the work we're doing. So our formula, our equation is collaboration plus innovation leads to success. And collaboration is at the heart of our core values. We really work together. It's not just something we say. We work closely with our union partners, and we don't find our union partners as an impediment to progress. We find them as partners in that progress. We also work with our community partners. Here's a couple more. You heard from Jason in the NAACP, who's done some terrific work with us as well. When we look at innovation, and we're going to talk a lot about innovation, we really, from day one, we said we don't want to hear why we can't do things. We want to hear how we're going to do them. For us, one of our major buckets of work is student-centered learning. We want to give students greater voice and choice in their learning. We want to make sure that they're engaged. We want to create those blended learning environments, and we want to personalize the learning experiences for our students at all levels. So how do we set the foundation for blended learning? The first thing we did was we took the director of curriculum position and the director of supervisor of instructional technology, and we meshed them into one position. That's Barbara's position now. She can't complain too much because with the position change, we added a supervisor of blended learning, we added personalized learning experience coaches, we added technology integration specialists, and student-centered learning coaches. The blended learning supervisor is a full-time administrative position. The other positions are teachers who do a reduced teaching load and support us and their colleagues in the classroom. But this was instrumental because when I got to district, there were continual arguments about whether digital content was part of the core curriculum, whether it was, now if there's a fight, Barbara's fighting with herself in the office, so. The other thing we needed to do is make sure that our board, we've had a relatively consistent board, and I would say, my tenure as an urban superintendent in Connecticut, I'm one of the probably longest standing urban superintendents going into year 8 or whatever this is, which is kind of crazy when I think about it, but I also needed to make sure that my board was supportive of this movement. If we were going to do this work, I needed to know that they were behind us. And the way they get behind you is they create policy that supports where you want to go, and they were great about doing that. We also adopted K-12 BYOD guidelines. No reason why we don't have our students bring the devices they already own that they're comfortable with into our buildings. And yes, we'll have a few problems with devices, but we had problems with other things they brought to school as well. We invested heavily in devices to support blended learning. When I came to district in 2010, we had no devices issued, district devices issued to students. There might have been a handful issued to students with special needs, but there was no plan, there was no proposal. Over the years, we consistently increased. Today, we're over 7,000 devices. Our middle schools are 1-to-1. Our high schools are 1-to-1. Our most economically challenged elementary school is 1-to-1. All of our 5th grades are 1-to-1. We're really moving to just being a 1-to-1 district. The other thing I want to say is that definitely, if you're thinking about whether students should take their devices home, if they're middle and high school students, the answer is yes, they should take them home. They should keep them over the summer. The time and cost of me tracking these devices and bringing them all back in, for what you can get a device for now, I would tell you, send the devices home. We haven't had huge problems, but this becomes a tool for students. It's like taking away this great thing from them when the summer comes. We don't want to do that in Meriden. We also purchase digital content, so you can have all the devices in the world, but if you don't have the digital content to support the learning, you really have to ask whether the devices in the first place were a sound investment, and obviously here's some of our partners, Mayan being a key partner with us. And we really believe that digital learning levels the playing field for all students and promotes success. That, to us, is what this is all about. I'm going to turn it back over to Barbara to keep this presentation rolling along.
So we knew we had to create a blended literacy culture in our district, and it was going to take a two-prong approach. First, it started at school, and when we started our Mayan implementation 3 years ago, we started with 2 schools who were asking for any type of digital resource. When we said Mayan would be a perfect fit, it covered multiple curriculum areas, we can work it in. We had traditional professional development for our classroom teachers, reading teachers, because we wanted them to support the literacy, and we also brought our administrators into the training because we knew we had to create this culture in the schools. We started off just by saying to teachers, fit it in where you can integrate it. Where does it make sense? And then we said, okay, share with families as well, because we knew that home connection was going to be important. And we did the traditional things, like sending letters home to parents, encouraging parents to look at what children were reading, having parents look at children book sets, or teacher-created book sets for their children. While we have our academic work going on in the district, we're also concerned about the social-emotional needs of our students. So all of our students complete a Getting to Know You survey every year. The information collected on the Getting to Know You survey is shared with the classroom teacher, and this really helps the teacher personalize and differentiate the learning. So what we hear from our students who are now, we have 3 schools in Mayan at this time, completing the survey, they like the digital content. They like reading on Mayan. Some like reading more than they did before. Very positive comments from our student. We also know what their interests are. So if maybe they're not interested in reading, we could say, do you realize there's some really great sports books I want you to look at? Or maybe reptiles is your area of interest. In addition to that, we have in our climate suite of tools a climate survey that both students and parents complete. Looking at that feedback, again, we had very positive results from students and parents, and we knew we had to continue on our digital journey. There was no turning back at this point. So that made us look at the reallocation of resources. If you noticed on the first slide, we have a $114 million budget, but we're a district that's operating with no local increase in the past 7 years. So when I say to you, Mark is innovative, he is extremely innovative because we don't have extra funds. So we just shifted some of our purchasing and began to very creatively attack what we wanted to do. We also converted our media centers to technology centers because greater access to technology kept coming through from our teachers and our students. They wanted to be able to get online. So now we have media centers that could have 60, 70 computers, in addition to the other technology that's available in the schools. This year, we were able to expand Mayan to all 8 elementary schools. We had the infrastructure in place. People were chomping at the bit for online content, and it was a perfect match for our district. We also looked at one of our reading positions. So a former reading teacher became our elementary literacy technology coordinator. And her role is to support the digital content in reading throughout the district. So she does traditional professional development as needed or on a professional development day. But because she's in the district, she's really able to differentiate and personalize the professional development for the teachers. So this was our October PD. She said, I just need to do a 1-hour mini session. There were 2 strands within that session based on the needs that she saw from teachers. She also schedules herself 1 day a month in the building where teachers can sign up to meet with her. And then in addition to that, she travels to all the schools every day as an on-needed basis. And this has been huge for us. At our extended learning time schools, we have teacher collaboration time built in, which has been great for teachers working across the grade level and planning. This is something that Heidi would also attend, and our other teachers are meeting before and after school because they're really getting collaborative as they're sharing their digital content. And for us, it's about integrating Mayan in the core curriculum. It's not about the technology, it's not about the content. It's really saying our curriculum is driving where we're going, and Mayan has been a great match for us. Our teachers have it literally written in their ELA curriculum where it says if you're doing these themes, these are the stories in Mayan that you're using. We're moving over to NGSS in science. Our elementary science coordinator has created book sets for every grade level in science. Same is true with social studies. And in our interventions for tier 1 and 2 and 3, you can see again, it's right in our intervention plan. So if a teacher is not sure what resource to use, they have a number of options, with MyOn always being one of them. With our implementation, we knew that we needed to have ongoing support. So monthly, we pooled the assistant principals together because at the school level, they're overseeing the MyOn implementation. We look at data each month, we give updates on what teachers need or what new improvements out there, or it's sharing ideas. Here are look-fors when you go into the classroom. We also include MyOn data when our teachers meet at their monthly PLC data meetings, because looking at that data is important if we want to see growth. So we might look at books finished, we might look at minimum hours read. Our students in some of our schools keep data notebooks with their Lexile level. And then each month, they project the amount of growth that they should have. And then they also set up their goals, like how are they going to reach this goal in school and what supports do they need at home. So that data is shared as well. Some of our schools do school-wide celebrations, so this happens to be some of our MyOn Achiever celebrations, celebrating accomplishments each month by different students. And district-wide, we celebrate reading. So we have a celebration of reader ceremony every year. It's a huge event in the district. We bring in authors, such as you see here, Octavia Spencer, Nick Cannon, Sharon Robinson was here this year, or in the spring, I should say. Students get to hear the author speak. They get a copy of a book. They get a t-shirt that says they were at the reading celebration. And this is open to any student who's either read 1 million words or has had 3,000 minutes on MyOn reading. So the student is invited, the family member is invited. It's really a nice way for the district to celebrate the successes of the student. And we know having books in the home is important. We've heard it yesterday and today. So each year we do a family literacy night. Next week is our family literacy night. We always do them in English and Spanish. And this year it's charged up with digital literacy. So families will come in, we'll provide supper. We take the students into a lab or the gymnasium and do an activity. The parents will be with us. This year we're showing parents how to log on to MyOn, how to access books at home, how they can download books if they're on limited data plans at home, so they have tools for their students to use. And everyone in attendance will get Meriden Public School earbuds, which is a nice little treat for them. So MyOn has really become an integral part of our classroom instruction, very well received by students and very well received by teachers.
So for us, I think the big point is, for us, we wanted this to be part of our core curriculum, and then the added benefit is the summer reading opportunities, the after-school reading opportunities, the home reading opportunities. We partnered with the city. Barbara mentioned how we really have some good relationships, even though it hasn't translated to dollars in our operating budget. They have invested heavily in our facilities. They've added Wi-Fi zones in our downtown core at some of our larger parks in the city, so our students can get online access there as well. But let's talk a little bit about success. So we know if we personalize, we differentiate, we engage, deeper learning is going to occur. So on the SBAC ELA results, state growth, 3.3%, Meriden growth, 3.9%. I was thrilled to listen to Bill Daggett yesterday talk about growth, because that's all we've been focusing on in Meriden is growth. And we'll analyze that growth for our teachers as well as our students, and that's how we're going to judge ourselves. STAR reading results, all grades 1 through 8 were above the national average for growth on the STAR reading assessment. We've also seen an increase in student perceptions of positive school climates, up 10% at all of our schools. School climate data has been very, very strong. You know, when you talk about culture, to us it really is about culture. We want to create environments where students and staff want to be. We've seen a great decrease in suspensions and expulsions since 2010-11. We've also seen a reduction of chronic absenteeism, down 3.2%, but in Meriden, that's 275 students that are no longer chronically absent. Talk about our teachers and the support we provide. This data is extremely important to us. If we're going to invest during tough economic times in student-centered learning coaches, in technology integration specialists, we need to know that they're making a difference. 100% of our teachers met with a student-centered learning coach. It's one of their colleagues. It's one of their own. 92% of our teachers met with a technology integration specialist as well. Very strong data saying these are supports that need to remain in place. Supporting Meriden Public Schools, Barbara mentioned, and I reiterated that we haven't received a local increase, but what we have received is significant private foundation funding. That's made a huge difference in supporting some of these innovations in our district. Just last week, Edutopia spent 3 days in our district, and what they're going to do is they're going to do a series on schools that work, and they're going to cover some of the things that are working well in the Meriden Public Schools. 2 of those categories will be around student-centered learning in a Tech Buddies program, where our 5th graders work with our 1st graders and younger students, and one will be just more of a district profile as well. Malbert mentioned the importance of celebrating and sharing your successes, and part of the work we do, and you'll see in the folders that we gave you, is we're going to celebrate those successes, we're going to share those successes, and that's what's going to occur the grants to come. And once you get one grant, you start to build that momentum and others are taking interest. So as soon as some of these funders heard Nellie Mae was there, well then the RISE Network was saying, well, what's Nellie Mae working with your district for? Well, Edutopia now, once those videos break, that will give us a national platform potentially and an opportunity to apply for other grants. What we say is the grant needs to be aligned with our core work, but we also know that when we're not getting a lot of additional resources, these grants matter and they're meaningful to the work of the district. Last year, we received a 2016 Magna Award from NSBA and from DA, a District of Distinction Award. It was the first time a district in Connecticut had received a Magna Award from NSBA in 15 years. And the last time a district won it, it was an honorable mention, not a first place prize. So it kind of validates the work we're doing here. And at the end of the day, what matters most is how do our students and teachers feel? So why Mayan?
So since we've started using Mayan, I've seen an improvement in engagement. Students love to get their materials and get started right away on what they're doing. The books are engaging and many of them like to go home and continue reading.
One of the great things about Mayan is that even though the children are all reading at different reading levels, we can allow them to work at their individual levels, and we can create a personalized learning environment so that everyone is not being forced to read books at the same level. They can also respond to those books at a level that's appropriate for them, and it's a different way of learning than what we're used to, but it is more effective with the students overall.
I like using mine because of the book selection and because like all the things that you can do on Mayan, like highlight and write notes in the middle of a book.
I think using Mayan really interests the kids. It's a program that they might not get to use on their own at home if they don't have the computers available. So when they come here, they're really eager to use it. And I think that it helps them with their confidence level. They get to really pick, what am I interested in? It's not something my teacher is picking for me. It's not something that I have to do. It's something that I want to do because they get to listen to what they want to listen to. They get to learn new facts, which is very interesting for them. It's interactive. The words are read aloud for them, so they get to learn new words. I think it's very interactive and they love using it every day.
Reading on a computer is amazing. I just find these books I really like. I even found my favorite series, Returns at the Library of Dreams.
I like using mine because it brings you into an imagination. Like if you read fiction books and when you read information, it helps you more. It helps you to learn more things that you didn't know.
We definitely see growth. Students enjoy reading through the program, so they do it more, and the more they do it, the better they become as readers themselves, because we know that research shows that one of the best ways to become a good reader is to listen to good reading. So when they hear that reading, they mimic it while they're reading, and their growth is sure to follow.
It's like another tool to learning to read, with all the tools that it does offer, with the audio, with the highlighting, with the different graphic organizers, with the projects, with the fact that they can read that book over and over again and take the book quizzes and monitor their own learning, read the same book in a different language. There's just so many more opportunities that are available with digital reading that to not embrace that is to not really look at where the future of learning is going.
Okay, I want to thank Mayan for sponsoring this Personalized Literacy Summit. I want to thank all of you for hanging in for our session, and I really want to thank Barbara, who's doing a tremendous job. No one try to steal her, but she's doing a tremendous job of leadership in our district, and we really, truly enjoy working together and giving each other a hard time because the work needs to be fun. So I wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Wow, awesome. We got time for a couple questions if you have them for our team from the wonderful Meriden, Connecticut. Wasn't that culture survey cool? I thought that was. Can they see that, or does that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The climate surveys are done by students, staff, and parents, and schools will get their results. There's also a spot where they can write in answers, and we'll give them that information as well. What's really taking off is the Getting to Know You survey, and this is where we see Mayan playing a key role with us, because if we know students love automobiles, well then let's encourage them to read about automobiles, because we have plenty of students who tell us they don't love reading, they don't love math, but they love something. If we can find out what they love.
Cool.
So,
any other questions for the team here? Yes, Mary Lou.
You know, I'm trying to figure out how to use this to go beyond just using it as a resource or an additional thing that parents have access to. I mean, to bona fide instructional approach, and I love this blended learning thing and the way you've been able to reallocate your resources. I think that's super cool. So when you do this, your skip survey, we call it a skip survey, it's our perception survey. Do you ask them as if it's a instructional resource at home use? I'm trying to see how you started bridging that use in school, or conversation around parents' understanding of that use in school.
and I'm not so sure, with our parent body. I think the good thing is that they trust us, so I'm not going to get a lot of pushback from parents. But if kids are going home saying they used Mayan at school, they're much more likely then to want to do it at home with their parents. We've tried to, at open houses, at parents' nights, have our staff have Heidi working with the parents in each building when they come in so they're aware of the program. Even if a parent says, you know what is this Mayan? Can you show me how to work it? My daughter keeps talking about it. Heidi's there. I'd also say the other thing that's critically important is you need to put a staff member in charge of some of this, or it's not going to happen. Heidi's role isn't just to work with Mayan, but she needs to be the expert in Mayan. She needs to be the expert in ST Math. Any other digital content that we're using, that's her responsibility. She's the point person.
Very good. Let's hear it for our team from Meriden here. Awesome.